So you're thinking about moving to Coral Springs? Hold on, before you do, let's talk about the good and the bad, or the pretty and the ugly. Let's get into it right now. If this is your first time to the channel, my name is Adela Philipson and I am a local realtor here in the greater Fort Lauderdale, Florida area. Now today we are going to be discussing Coral Springs, but if you are thinking of moving here 9 days or 90 days, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. All the information is down below in the description so we can help you move to Coral Springs or maybe Fort Lauderdale and any of the other suburbs here. Now, if you have seen some of my other videos, I generally like to talk about the bad, the cons, because everybody likes the negativity, right? But I have to say, Coral Springs has a lot of good. So I really am excited to discuss that first. Now, when most people think about moving to Florida, some of the first things that come to mind are flood and hurricane. And yes, as that may be true, Coral Springs actually has a lower hurricane and flood risk. Now, let me tell you why. When there is an actual hurricane coming out from the Atlantic, the hurricane itself does require a lot of warm water and winds, and it's just very open. So it does get a lot of its velocity when it's out in the ocean, but once it hits land, it loses its power. Coral Springs is 15 miles inland from the coastline, which means as a hurricane's coming inland, it ends up being more of a tropical storm once it hits Coral Springs. According to FEMA, Coral Springs has a low flood risk, which is great for homeowners, so you have a lower likelihood of a flood. The great thing about Coral Springs also is they do have a really good stormwater management system. So even during the summertime when it's raining a lot, they know how to move the water outside, move it along pipes, and they've even created these little lakes, so that way they capture the excess water that comes into the city. Another great reason to live in Coral Springs is it's a great place to raise a family. For any full-time working parents, Coral Springs has plenty of options for good childcare. And for any recreational activities, whether it's for adults or children, Coral Springs has a lot of parks, whether it's Mullins Park, Betty Stradling Park, even Cypress Park, or hey, maybe the family wants to go ice skating or practice some hockey at the Florida Panthers Ice Den. Coral Springs is a safer community and suburb outside of Fort Lauderdale compared to the national average. Now, if you are looking online and you might see some things regarding that Coral Springs has more crime, take a closer look. A lot of those tend to be more property, whether maybe you left your car unlocked and they took your belongings, or maybe they stole your vehicle. But as far as violent goes, that is much lower. If you want to look at an aerial map of Coral Springs as far as safety goes, you can notice that the northern part and kind of the western part of Coral Springs is slightly more safe than perhaps the central part where like University Drive is. But in the end, Coral Springs is still safe. Another great reason to move to Coral Springs is that it does offer a lot of job opportunities, especially in the pharmaceutical and health industry. They do have Broward Health there. Since they have so many restaurants and shops, the retail industry has a lot of job opportunities there, as well as the school system. Another great reason to live in Coral Springs are the options of restaurants. There is a street called University Drive, and located between Atlantic and Sample Road, you'll find Restaurant Row. Regardless of what you're craving, there's an option for you. It's a great place where families go on the weekends, or maybe just even hanging out with friends, or possibly even date night. Now, if you want to see what that looks like, or maybe even what Coral Springs looks like, I'm gonna link the video right here. And yes, I said I'm gonna. So go ahead and watch that later. Another great reason to move to Coral Springs is for the schools. Now, if you're looking at elementary schools, some of the better ones tend to be Riverside Elementary, Westchester, as well as Maplewood Elementary. And this is, of course, according to greatschools.org. As of right now, Riverside has a 9 out of 10. And I want to mention, if you want to see where these schools are actually located, I do go through most of them from elementary, middle, and even high school on my Google Maps. I'm going to go ahead and link it right here for you to watch later if you want to take a closer look. Getting back to schools, as far as middle school goes, there is the Coral Springs Charter School, which also carries over into high school, so you don't have to have your child transition between the two. It currently has an 8 out of 10. And another good middle school is Sawgrass Springs Middle School. That currently has a 6 out of 10 on greatschools.org. Now, the high school grades do start to fall, but Coral Springs Charter School High School still is a really good option in the area, which again is an 8 out of 10. The good news about the schools, when you're looking at Coral Springs as a whole, is that they are good from elementary, middle to high school. They may not be the greatest, but they are definitely good. Now, that was fun. Unfortunately, we have to switch over to the negative side, or the ugly side of Coral Springs. And there really aren't that many. Now, one of the negative things I would say about Coral Springs is that the real estate is now more expensive. And then you're thinking, well, wait, Adela, I thought Fort Lauderdale and Pompano and some of these other coastal cities are expensive. Yes, but those are coastal cities. Now, when we're talking about Broward County and we're going out west, when you compare Coral Springs to some of the other western suburbs, it is going to be more expensive, especially when you compare it to somewhere such as Tamarack, Sunrise, Plantation. There are a couple other suburbs in Broward County that are a little bit more expensive than Coral Springs, such as Parkland or even Weston. But Coral Springs happens to be up there. I mean, I remember during COVID, a lot of families were moving to Florida and they were finding Coral Springs as a wonderful place to live. So prices have gone up. And you might say, well, didn't all prices go up? Yes, but Coral Springs did attract a lot of families, especially when they wanted that space and good schools. Which brings me to my next negative. Cost of living in Coral Springs is more expensive, especially for the neighboring towns such as Sunrise, Tamarack, even Plantation. According to uphomes.com, Coral Springs is 17% more expensive cost of living than the national average. In the end, Coral Springs is a great city to move to. And if you are thinking about moving here, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. All the information is down below in the description so we can help you move to Coral Springs, Fort Lauderdale, anywhere in the surrounding area. If you want to watch more videos like this, go ahead and click here. And if you don't want to miss out on anything else, make sure to subscribe. See you later, alligator.